Some are accusing you of using the pandemic to push Medicare for all.
So today, Bernie Sanders joined The View. Now, I'm going to have some clips to show you later, a couple of the questions that are just ridiculous, but we'll get there. First, I have to show you this bumper. So this is what aired, I believe the commercial before, or before the commercial where Bernie was going to be on the show. Watch how they frame this interview. This is a masterclass in manufacturing consent.
How does presidential candidate Senator Bernie Sanders answer accusations that he's politicizing the pandemic to push his Medicare for All agenda and that staying in the race could guarantee Trump another term? He's live on The View. Next.
This is just incredible. It's stunning. How they can frame the discussion like this with a straight face. Like whoever wrote the script here, I mean, they might as well be on the Joe Biden campaign, or they might as well be on the Donald Trump campaign. This is completely ridiculous. Accusations that Bernie is politicizing the crisis? From who? Where are these accusations coming from? They just made this up. This is manufacturing consent. This is framing the discussion in a way that limits your ability to think outside of it. So immediately the audience watching this that doesn't know any better thinks, oh, Bernie Sanders is politicizing this crisis. Well, I can't believe he's doing that. He's not doing it. That's not happening. They just made this up. This is how you turn people against certain individuals, be it politicians, be it celebrities, be it whatever it is. This is how you do it. You frame the discussion in a way that limits people's ability to think outside of that framing. And politicizing it for his Medicare for All agenda. Yes, millions of people now are losing their health insurance. Millions of Americans are losing their health insurance that they had through their employer because they're losing their jobs during this crisis. Yet, bringing up the fact that if you had Medicare for All, you would still have health care guaranteed to you. How is that politicizing? Like, this is a crisis that has to be solved with politics, with policy. It is not politicizing to bring up the fact that Medicare for All would guarantee everybody in the country health care regardless of their employment status. Yet, they frame the discussion in a way that it's evil that Bernie's talking about single-payer health care coverage. How incredible is this? And the other piece here, guaranteeing Trump another term. Him staying in the race is going to guarantee Trump another term. This is what they're already doing. It is very clear Joe Biden's not going to do very well in the election. If he wins, the only reason Biden would defeat Trump is because there are enough anti-Trump voters that are voting for Biden to solidify a win for Joe Biden. That would be the only reason, because I did a video yesterday on the enthusiasm gap between Trump and Joe Biden. Joe Biden's enthusiasm right now is 8 points lower than Hillary Clinton's lowest point in 2016. Enthusiasm is often a predictor of who's going to win an election because it tells you who is going to come out and vote. So right now, Democrats are not excited about Joe Biden. But the only thing that might save him is if enough anti-Trump voters come out. But you see what they're doing here. They're framing the discussion in a way where if Joe Biden loses, then they can blame Bernie Sanders and his supporters for them not coming out, when the reality is the problem is Joe Biden. Like, think of how absurd it is, how much the media fawns over these moderate voters, these voters in between that they imagine are in between both parties. How are you going to get these people in the middle? First of all, those people don't exist. The people you actually have to go after are people that don't normally vote. 40% of Americans don't normally vote. Bernie Sanders was attracting those people, largely young people under 45 that don't normally vote. Working class voters, progressive voters, young voters. Those are the people that you have to get. Those are the actual people that the media should be focused on. But instead, they focus on this pretend, these moderate voters in the middle. They respect the moderate voters so much. But when it comes to progressive voters, when it comes to people that want to see policies like Medicare for All or free public college, they spit in the faces of those voters. Those voters they don't care at all about. And they will blame the election on those voters if they don't come out and vote for Joe Biden. But when it comes to moderate voters or people that they love the right-wing voters, conservative voters, oh, how is Joe Biden going to win over those conservative voters? He has to appeal to those conservative voters. They respect conservative voters. They respect moderate voters. They respect the so-called independents that they think are between both parties. They love the idea of those voters. But when it comes to people that actually want to see some progress in the country, they hate those people, and they will blame them for any problem that arises. Now, let me show you two of the questions that came up during this appearance. The first one, I'm only going to show you the question because of how ridiculous this question is. the one after, I'll show you the whole clip. But the first question here, I believe, is from Sarah Haynes. This is Sarah Haynes asking Bernie Sanders about basically pushing back on Bernie supporting Medicare for all.
Countries with universal health care routinely have to wait longer and sometimes die before receiving many of the medical treatments. Right now, if you can't afford to wait, because Corona isn't, they're having this, it's not something you can wait on health care for. So what would your counter be to why that would be beneficial right now?
Again, manufacturing consent 101. Sarah Haynes saying something here like it's a well-known fact. Oh, yes, well-known fact that people in other countries, they have to wait. Americans, we don't have to wait at all. You know, maybe if you're Sarah Haynes, if you're a millionaire on television, yeah, you don't have to wait for healthcare. I say this all the time when I criticize the American healthcare system. If you're wealthy in America, healthcare is great because you can get it whenever you want. You can afford it. If you're most people, it is not great, and you do have to wait. And if you can afford it at all. This is the amazing part of her question here. Sarah Haynes goes, quote, what if you can't afford to wait for treatment? How about what if you can't afford treatment? Take out the wait for it part. What if you can't afford a treatment at all? Then what happens? 68,000 people, a recent Yale study, public health study, looked into this. Roughly 68,000 people a year die in America due to a lack of access to healthcare. 68,000. That doesn't exist in other countries, in universal systems, because you can always access healthcare. Healthcare is guaranteed to you as a right. But in America, it's not guaranteed to you. So, and by the way, that was before the crisis. Now we're faced with this pandemic. Who knows how far that number is going to skyrocket? Because right now, still, only the test is covered in the U.S. Treatment still isn't covered. So all these people losing healthcare now, losing their jobs, losing their healthcare insurance to their employer, what happens now? Yet it's politicizing to bring up the fact that Medicare for all would be beneficial to Americans right now because of how completely insane your for-profit system is. The healthcare system in America exists to make money for wealthy executives. That is the purpose of it. And when it comes to the issue of rationing or wait times, there is rationing in every single system, including in the American system. The difference is in the American system, rationing is based on wealth. If you can't afford healthcare, then you get healthcare. Rationing in other systems is simply based on need. And the reason why rationing exists regardless in any system is because there's only a certain amount of doctors to help you. So at some point, you're rationing care. At some point, you're prioritizing certain people over others because there isn't an infinite amount of doctors. Yet, doesn't it make a lot more sense to ration based on need as opposed to ration based on wealth? But look how they frame the questions. Completely backwards. One more clip here. This is Bernie Sanders being asked about, is he politicizing the pandemic?
Senator, some are accusing you of using the pandemic to push Medicare for all. And they're saying, you know, at this time, we should put politics aside and come together behind the president. What is your response to politicizing this allegation that everyone is politicizing?
Well, I don't know who is making the allegation. You know, I have political opponents who make all kinds of accusations, but should we put politics aside and all come together? Of course we should. And when we all come together, it seems to me we have to do several things. One of them is guarantee health care to all people right now. The absurdity that you may be diagnosed with the coronavirus and you go into the hospital and you spend thousands of dollars getting treated, and maybe, God willing, you come out alive, well, you got a huge bill out there. If you're being diagnosed with cancer right now, the truth is that we have 500,000 people a year who go bankrupt because of medically related bills.
All right. So I already dealt with this question. The idea that you can politicize a crisis like this is just unbelievable. Politics touches everything. In a crisis like this, it is the exact time to analyze why the system is not helping everybody. How can we improve the system? What can change? This is the time to look at policy as the solution. The idea that you again, and this is, I'm not sure where this is coming from. I'm online every day, all the time, like 18 hours a day. I'm on Twitter, I'm on news sites. I see everything. I have not seen any report or anything about Bernie Sanders politicizing the pandemic. I don't know where this is coming from. Every single politician right now saying anything can be accused of politicizing because they're politicians and they're going to talk about policy and politics. That's what they do. How is that politicizing? In a crisis like this, it is the time to analyze what is broken with the system and how to fix it. That's what Bernie Sanders is doing. That's what he's always done. He's always had these solutions, has always fought for the poor, the middle class, has always fought for a universal healthcare system. This is what he has done his entire life. This is a true public servant. And instead of having questions here about, hey, how can, you support Medicare for all, great. How are you going to get this to actually help people at this time? Because right now, Medicare for all, we don't have Medicare for all right now. It sounds like a great idea, but what can you do right now in the meantime when Democrats don't have a majority in the Senate, don't have the presidency? What can you do now to help people? A question like that is fine. That's fine. But to act like Medicare for all is still the devil is amazing to me. All you have to do is look outside your damn borders, understand how many people now in your country, in America, are lacking health insurance because they lost it through their employer, and how many people outside your country and other countries with universal systems, how they still have health care guaranteed to them. How anybody that just became unemployed in Canada can still have health care guaranteed to them, that they can get treatment and not worry about a bill. These are just basic facts, yet still, they are unwilling to accept this reality.